Après, parce que moi c'est rapide. Hein. Il n'y a pas de micro normal. Parce que là c'est insupportable. خليهم هنا أو شوف مع الدكتور. Et après pour revenir. Celle-là. Ouais, ce sera mieux quand même. Attends, là, on met le... So, bonjour à tous. It's okay. Bonjour à tous. أهلا وصديقي. تفضل. مساء الخير. Bonjour à tous. Quelques mots en français, le début en arabe et ensuite on passe à l'anglais. So, I will start in French a few words and after in Arabic, and I will repeat in English because, as you know, it's we have three languages of work in the Ifao. مساء الخير جميعا. أهلا في المعهد الفرنسي للآثار الشرقية بالقاهرة طبعا. يسعدني أن أبدأ هذا العرض الثلاثي مع الدكتور الصديق أحمد الشوكي أستاذ الآثار وتاريخ الفن الإسلامي بجامعة عين شمس ومع أنا لاغارون كمان المسؤولة المشاركة معنا أنا لاغارون، وهي عضوة علمية متخصصة في دراسة التاريخ الإسلامي وخاصة بالنقوش، تحقيق ودراسة النقوش الإسلامية العربية الإسلامية بالمعهد الفرنسي. نتشارك معا في إدارة هذا المشروع الرائع الذي سنقدمه الآن، وسأعطي الكلمة سريعا لأحمد الشوكي ثم لأنا لاغارون، سيتناولان بداية المشروع الذي يضم العديد من المؤسسات المصرية والفرنسية والدولية كمان. وأود أن أؤكد خاصة أن هذا المشروع في رأيي هو نموذج للتعاون، وقبل كل شيء هو نموذج للتعاون المؤسسي، ويجمع المشروع بين المؤسسات الفرنسية والمصرية في تعاون وثيق للغاية. ويدرك كل باحث وكل مسؤول الآن ما يمثله لي وللمعهد. لا نتصور ولا أتصور أنا شخصيا أي بحث لا يستند إلى العمل الميداني. المؤسسات التي أود تسليط الضوء عليها هي التالية: أول، المجلس الأعلى للآثار وأقسامه المختلفة، تحديدا قسم الآثار الإسلامية والقبطية واليهودية وقسم المتاحف، كما يلعب متحف الفن الإسلامي ومديره أحمد السيام، وهو موجود معنا الآن. دورا محوريا في المشروع لا يقل أهمية في رأيي عن الشريكين الرئيسين الأخيرين، جامعة عين شمس مع الزميل والصديق أحمد شوكي وأساتذتها وطلابها، والمعهد الفرنسي للآثار الشرقية طبعا أنا ومعمرها وباقي العاملين به، بما فيهم حامد يوسف وهو المشرف على العمل والذي يعد ركيزة المشروع الأساسية. شكرا يا حميد. So good evening everyone. Welcome to the French Institute of Oriental Archaeology in Cairo. I'm very pleased to open this three-voice conference together with Dr. Ahmed Shouki, so Fahimtu, Professor of Archaeology and Art History at Ayn Shams University, and our co-coordinator Anna Lagaron, who is a scientific member at the Ifao, specialized in Arabic epigraphy, and together they coordinate with me this very important, very wonderful research project that they will present to you. I will give quickly the mic to Ahmed and Anna, who will go back to over the origins of the project, which involves several Egyptian and French and international institutions, and would only like to emphasize in particular that this project is, in my view, a model of cooperation. Indeed, this project brings French and Egyptian institutions into very close collaboration, and every researcher and every project leader knows how it is it's essential for and even vital for me and for the Ifao to conduct research in the framework of very close collaboration with Egyptian institutions and colleagues. Regarding our project, I would like to highlight the role of the Supreme Council of Antiquities and its various departments. I'm talking about namely the Department of Islamic, Coptic and Jewish Antiquities. It's as well as the Museum Department. A special thanks as well to the Museum of Islamic Art and its director Ahmed Siyam, his staff as well for their role in the project. A role that is, in my view, just as essential as that of the two other key partners. I'm talking about, of course, Ayn Shams University, its faculty members, and its two students. They are with us tonight. And of course, the Ifao with Anna. I'm talking about all the staff members involved, including our colleagues of the working at the lab, headed by Nadine Mounir, and of course, Hamid Youssef, as I told, our site manager, who is the driving force behind the project. This project, the Islamic Tombstones project, and this is the only point I wish to emphasize, did not emerge out of nowhere. This project is part of a long-standing tradition at the Ifao. The Ifao has been involved in heritage projects focusing on some stones and the Qarafa for a very long time, as well on the in epigraphy projects, especially funerary epigraphy. This interest has taken shape in various ways, especially through research programs. Let me recall, for example, through Louis Massignon in 1958, Gaston Maspero's interest in the historical topography of Cairo. Dès mon arrivée à l'Institut français d'archéologie orientale du Caire en 1906, Gaston Maspero m'avait demandé, à cause de mes recherches sur la topographie de Fès, d'achever par l'étude du Dalvar Ahmar, la grande enquête de topographie historique du Caire qu'il avait confiée dès 1887 aux membres arabisants de l'Institut qu'il y avait fondé. Gaston Maspero's interest in the historical topography of Cairo, so he notes that in 1906, upon his arrival at the Ifao, one of the former director, asked him to complete the major survey of historical topography, and that he had entrusted as early as 1887 to the scientific members specialized in Arabic studies. Louis Massignon has found distant haze in the team behind the project launched by the Ifao in 2022 under the auspice, the direction of Dr. Julien Loiseau. A project entitled, as you can see, les nécropoles du Caire depuis la fondation de Fostat à nos jours. 2 secondes. So this project reflects the Ifao's intention, beyond the necropolises and themselves, to think more broadly about death and burial practices in Egypt and beyond, across the Arab world. Ifao's interest in fossils and their monuments on the one hand, and in funerary epigraphy on the other, has also been expressed in all its publication. We all know that the Catalogue du Musée Arabe du Caire was published by the Ifao from the early years of the 20th century. Gaston Viette, director of the Musée Arabe until, I think, 1950 51 or 52, I don't remember exactly, showed great energy in this respect. Ahmed and Anna will outline this point, but let me already recall some of the stelae which form part of our project had already received the full attention of Viet's team and were published in the catalogue. Don't forget as well that the Ifao published other stelae from different sites, from Aswan in particular, and from published by the great Abdurrahman Muhammad Abd Tawab, but also those from the Dahlak Island, published by Madeleine Schneider. And of course, it's not possible not mentioning the Répertoire chronologique d'épigraphie arabe, published between 1931 and 1964. And as you probably know, very recently we made all the volumes available online. They are now accessible in open access on the Ifao website. This is also an opportunity for me to have a few words about the work of Béatrice Boileau, head of the Ifao's image unit, cellule image de l'Ifao, who oversaw the digitization of the repertoire. She's currently going through a very difficult time, and I would like to extend to her my friendship and my thanks. As for the Répertoire chronologique d'épigraphie arabe, you know its importance, which was recently highlighted during the international conference we organized with the Bibliotheca Alexandrina, les orientalistes et la jeunesse de l'épigraphie arabe واستشرقون ونشأة علم دراسة النقوش العربية. As you can see, the interest of the Ifao and its partners in Arabic epigraphy intersects with its focus on funerary practices and their monumental expression. It is within this framework, and I will conclude on this point, that a very recent initiative around the Qarafa should be understood. 4 years ago, we launched a new series within the collection Textes Arabes et Études Islamiques, Arabic Text and Islamic Studies, a collection Ziyarat Masr wal Qahira. And as you can see on the screen, we already published 4 volumes, 4 books, 4 critical editions of previously unpublished texts on Ziyarat. Let me also mention a very recent book published 1 or 2 months ago by Georges Castel, Maha Meideb Castel, and Hamza Abdel Aziz on the complex of Suleiman Agha al-Hanafi. And once again, this reflects the broad scope of the Ifao's activities on the themes that led to launch the Islamic Tombstones of Cairo project. I will repeat a few words in Arabic to conclude my speech. كما ترون يتقاطع اهتمام الإفاو وشركائه بالنقوش العربية مع اهتمامهم بالموضوعات الجنائزية وتجلياتها الأثرية. وفي هذا الإطار وسأختتم كلمتي بهذا، ينبغي لنا أيضا أن نتناول مبادرة حديثة جدا أطرقتها أنا أيضا تتعلق بالقرافة، وقد ذكرت برنامج الجبانة الإسلامية في القاهرة، ويمكنني أيضا الإشارة إلى مبادرات أخرى تساهم في حفظ التراث المصري. وهكذا قبل 4 سنوات أطلقنا سلسلة جديدة ضمن مجموعة النصوص العربية والدراسات الإسلامية، وقد أسفرت هذه السلسلة بعنوان زيارات مصر والقاهرة عن نشر 4 كتب، وهذه الكتب ال4 هي إصدارات لنصوص لم تنشر سابقا حول زيارة القرافة. وصدر مؤخرا كتاب قيم من تأليف جور كاستيل ومايبد كاستيل وحمزة عبد العزيز، يتناول المجمع الجنائزي لسليمان أغا الحنفي. وهذا دليل آخر على النشاط المكثف الذي يقوم به الإفاء في موضوعات التي أدت إلى إطلاق مشروع شواهد القبور الإسلامية بالقاهرة. شكرا، ونعطي it's up to you دكتور، تفضل.
Thank you, Dr. Abbas, for your introduction, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. In fact, without effort of Dr. Abbas, I think this project will not came to light, and we could speak about it now. This project, if we, Dr. Abbas, of course, summary our cooperation. The team, but what I want to about in the beginning about what is this project. In fact, this project divided in 2 axes, 2 major axes. First one, it's about the collection of the Museum of Islamic Art, and second one, it's about cemetery of Islamic Cairo. If we started with the collection of the Museum of Islamic Art, in fact, as Dr. Abbas started his talking, there is a very important book about Gaston Viette, who published the collection, which started between 1932 until 1942, and he complete, and we have also another edition, but Dr. Anna will speak about it in details. This collection, not most, but a lot of it published by Gaston Viette, but what we surprised, in fact, there is more than, there is a lot of tombstone also not published in his collection. And this project came to light when I was director of the Museum of Islamic Art and visited this collection in the citadel of Salah ad-Din with Ahmed Siam, who is now the director of the Museum of Islamic Art. He was the deputy of the museum in this time. And the collection was stored in the tower, in the citadel, for about 20 years old, 20 years, when the museum started to conservate in 2000, I think 2006, in 2006. When I saw this collection, I contacted Dr. Abbas, and we tried to start this project, and the Ministry of Antiquities and the Museum of Islamic Art, in fact, welcome with this project to conservate and document this collection. In fact, the next axis, I will speak again about that, but quickly, because the first axis will be the talking with my friend Dr. Anna, who work a lot in this collection with the group. The next axis of this project is about the cemetery of Islamic Cairo. In fact, which we didn't have until now a full project to document it, and to know exactly what we have in the cemetery of Islamic Cairo. We have a lot of small paper books about the cemetery at all, But about the tombstone, we didn't have any network about it. In fact, our goals in this project is preserving the tombstones in Islamic Cairo, creating the first network of tombstones in Islamic Cairo, reading and interpreting the tombstones to be available for researchers and specialists, and this is one of the main goals which Ifao insist about it, and also all of partner in this project. Publication of the collection in series of books will be rent, inshallah, in Ifao. Field school for training, and also this is one of the most axes of research of the project, the training. This training will be for the researchers, students, and inspectors of the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities in restoration and epigraphy and epigraphy documentation. This project started in 2023, but of course we started to think about it from 2021, I think. But our challenge is we need to have a center for this project. Why we need center? We need center to transfer the collection from the citadel of Salah ad-Din and stored it for the new housing. And also we need a center to conserve it and to document and to train on the collection and in another work in the cemetery of Cairo. So with connection with the Ministry of Antiquities, they approved to take the Qurqumas complex, which located in the center of the Mamluk cemetery. And we started to rehabilitate some places in this complex. We cover by of course cooperate with the Ministry of Antiquities. We make iron doors. We make ceiling of iron, of course, with funded by Ifao, and also camera system. All of that because we will transfer all the tombstone from Cairo, from citadel of Cairo, to this place. The first spark started in 2023, as I told you. This is the Burg Torfa, Tower of Torfa in the citadel, and we started to transfer all of the tombstone from this place to the new place. And of course, we work, I think, for 2 months from the citadel to Qurqumas collection. I think in July and August it was very hot, but I think it's worth what happened. And of course, we transfer to the new storage in the Qurqumas complex. What we did in Qurqumas complex, in fact, our work divided in 2 acts. First, we make a lab, a conservation lab with, of course, the lab of Ifao, and many thanks for Nadine and Anita and all of the team from Ifao, and also with conservator from Museum of Islamic Art, which also did amazing work. And also we start our survey to the cemetery, which also beside the complex. In fact, this documentation lab, it's many process started with to make an image for the tombstone before and after conservation, and started with reading the text, the inscription, and of course Anna will speak about that in detail. And we take a lot of time to discuss, to have a checklist. Of course, this is take a lot of time to have a checklist, thanks to Anna and Muhammad Ibrahim and the rest of the team, to have exactly what we need to know from this tombstone. And of course, all of this information will enter to database. This is the lab in Qurqumas complex, and as you see, the team is divided to photographer and our student who train especially for that. and also reading and documenting and conservation. This is the team of Ifao, and also you will see in the photo of Dr. Abbas in the first, the team of Museum of Islamic Art, which we thanks all of them. And this is our students who make a small lab for photograph, and of course we put rules for them to take every tombstone from 6 sides, not from back on forward, but also from all sides. What we did in the cemetery of course, the first part, we will hear about it a lot. Anna, a lot of information, but I will concentrate now about the cemetery of Islamic Cairo. In fact, we make also, okay, this is the cemetery. In fact, we make also a checklist, different. خلاص سيبها هم باعتينها يحضروا معانا. خلاص هي ماشيه باي باي. We make a checklist also, especially for that cemetery, because we have not only tombstone, but also have a complete composite. We document it, and also thanks for the team for that. And we make groups, maybe 3 or 4 groups, works in the same day, to make a photo, to take a measurement, to take a point by GPS. And all of that will be presented in a map, interactive, to know exactly if you put your mouse in the point, you will know where is this tombstone and what is the information, its image. And you can see the team working everywhere. We started in the beginning in the Mamluk Cemetery, and I think we almost finished it. And thanks for Dr. Abdullah Saad and Gamal, Mr. Gamal, inspector, and they are between us today. And all of the team of the Ministry of Antiquities, who in fact helping us a lot in this project, and they still also complete that. In fact, we have we made a lot of tombstone. In the beginning, we put our rules. We will document all tombstone until 1950. We will not stop until 90, but we put rule for that. And in fact, we found a lot of treasures in the cemetery. This is the princess of Muhammad Ali, and this is the tomb. This is registered in the Ministry of Antiquities, but most of tombstone which we registered and documented, unregistered. This is the tomb of Afandina, Qubbat Afandina for Khidewi Tawfiq, and this is for Omar Makram, and this is unregistered or as a monument, but of course it's one of the treasure we have. So we have our team who train to work in the checklist, who train to take a GPS point, who train to treat because we face a lot of problems in the cemetery, and of course we have a lot of treasures, and still full of treasures. Cemetery, and I told you we work only on the cemetery, on the Mamluk cemetery. And inshallah, in this month, we will start to work in Imam al-Shafi'i. Why this project is important? In fact, the tombstone is full of information about names, about calligraphy, arts. Of course, I think all of you specialists in tombstone. And of course, the Arab tribes, the name of the Arab tribes, which it's a treasure for us to know the relation between families and so on. Also, we didn't deal with Arabic only, but also we have Persian, we have Turkish, and it's a treasure of Arabic poem. You can read in the left, it's a poem from the 18th century, the end of 18th century. لله من يوم الخميس فإنه. This is a tombstone about his grandmother who died, so he put poems for that. لله من يوم الخميس فإنه مصمي القلوب مقرح الأكفان ما كنت أحسب أن صفو معيشتي تمضي وأيام الخطوب دواني بالله يا بيبي يعني grandmother وأنت عزيزة فينا أما لك عودة بالثاني إن عز في الدنيا تلاقينا بكم عند القيامة سوف تلتقيان. So this is not only about history but also about Arabic language, about the history, about a lot of things. Also the names of craftsmen and calligraphers. This is the name of one of the oldest calligrapher, Amal Mubarak al-Makki. This is from the collection of the Museum of Islamic Art, who we found 3 of tombstones in the collection of Islamic art in his name. And also the material and uses, which also Dr. Anna will speak about it in details. This is a tombstone from the 5th century or 12th century. This is from marble, and this is very unique because this is one of 9 tombstone made from marble from the Aswan. And Aswan, it's known by the limestone and the sandstone. So this is one of the very important tombstones. Also, we can find here a lot of decoration, but we can see here the hieroglyphics. You can see in the border from outside. Here, and there is another one here. So also, after we finish the documentation, we can invite some scholar who specialist also in ancient Egyptian language to read it. Also, we have a lot of decoration, gilded. As you know, this is usual also in the tombstone. Here, this is from Carafa, from the cemetery. And you can see here the of head. It's different between man and woman, and even from the old woman and the young woman, that the hair of it, as you see, and the treasure, this is a lot of information, a lot of decoration about the people, maybe died, but they still live between us with this tombstone. In fact, we work in Imam al-Shafi'i. They invited us, the Ministry of Antiquities, to document some of tombstone which and composite which they transfer it to another place. And this is a 3D model which, thanks to Mahmoud and the team, also Abdullah, who work in the 3D model or photogrammetric documentation before transfer it to another place. And also, this is the kind of the map which we prepare to have it after the finished this project, to have a point for each tombstone we have. Of course, I didn't speak now about the registered tombstone, but all of the tombstone until 1950. And this is output, some of output in the beginning. We face a lot of problem, and I know you visit cemetery yesterday, but this problem is natural problem. It's the ceiling from wood, but it's fall down, and our team, when they go to document this place, they found that. In fact, thanks for the team, and Hamid, Yusuf, and Ustaz Gamal, this is unregistered place, not registered in the Ministry of Antiquities, but our team worked to save it and document it in the place, and this is from the beginning of 19th century. Also, this is one of kind what we found also. This is 2 tombstones from the 2 wives of Ibrahim Pasha, son of Muhammad Ali. We found it in the tombstone also, in one of tombs in Eastern Cemetery. And as you see, this is 2 wives from the Khidewi, son of the Khidewi Masr. And it's dated by end of 19th century. This is unregistered as a monument, and with the cooperate with Eastern Dr. Abdullah and his team, we make a paper and send all of details to the Ministry of Antiquities to transfer and preserve it and register it as a monument. Also, last 3 weeks, when we finish this season and we'll start soon, we found something like a treasure in tomb, Prince Yusuf Georgi Jamilian. We found about 30 objects, more than 15 tombstones came back to beginning of 12th century and 18th century AD. We cooperate with Taftish. We transfer it to our center in Qurqumas complex, and also we work to document it, and now we're preparing our letter to the Ministry of Antiquities to register it as a monument. And this is after we make a photograph for it and make a Photoshop. And you can see here has a قبر المرحوم علي جلبي الجلبي الحاج إسماعيل ابن الحاج إسماعيل هنا جلبي الإمام الحاج إسماعيل توفي رحمة الله تعالى في شهر رجب 1199 هجري. That means it's the beginning of 18th century, the end of 18th century. And if we can see in the middle here, this is his brother who died after him with 3 years. So in the beginning we found this is a family, and this is all of the tombstone of this family. And of course it is not registered, and the guard of the tomb told us, I found this, and the grandfather told me this is from the place around. So I know there is a story behind it, but at least we saved it and we transferred it to our center, and we started to document it. Of course, as I told you in the beginning, the field school is very important because one of the principal access for Ifao to make a generation and transfer the knowledge. So we make this field school with Ministry of Antiquities and many of parts sharing it, Museum of Islamic Art, Taftish of Sharq al-Qahira, Ifao, Anna, Dr. Abbas, all of the team. And we train about 20 students and 10 inspectors from the Ministry of Antiquities about the documentation and photographer, how to photograph the tombstone and all of details of our project. And most of them working with us now in this project. This is some photo from the field school, and you can see Ahmed Siam here, the director of Museum of Islamic Art. And at the end, of course, the head of the Islamic sector in Ministry of Antiquities came and gives the certificate. In fact, this is my final slides, but it's about a video. We'll summary in 1 or 2 minutes what we did in about 3 years now. And thanks for Layla for editing and take a video for this video. Thank you. And now, with my friend Dr. Anna, we'll complete our presentation. Thank you.
So it's impressive, huh? Right? I'm in the video, but you are also impressive. So I don't know if we will change the course of the history, but if we can change only a small part of the Islamic medieval world in Egypt, it could be nice, and I really hope so. So now let's continue with the Qurqumas side of the project. And behind the first responsible of the project, you can see not me, but the vast expanse of the corpus that is in store for us. So as a quick reminder, as a quick reminder, this collection comprises 4,500 stelae, originally from the storeroom of the Museum Islamic Art in Cairo, which is now housed in the mausoleum of Emir Qurqumas in Cairo under strict security. C'est bon? Like that? Okay. However, not all these stelae originate from Cairo. Many were transported from Upper Egypt, and more especially from Aswan, from the late 19th century onward. As you have seen with Dr. Ahmed, we have developed a process for working on site. At Qurqumas, this takes the form of a real laboratory where the stela can be cleaned and restored if necessary, documented, photographed, and stored in suitable conditions. Here then at the various stages of the fieldwork, and we have already managed the process 900 stela during 3 field campaigns, and we therefore estimate that it will take a further 5 years or so to get through this huge corpus. To give you an idea of the material we are working on, here is our Q1. It is the first stone of this project. So I won't describe every detail of the form we fill in for the stela, just a few key points. So first of all, we note down the new number given to the stela, preceded by the letter Q for Qurqumas. Then we note down the number that had been attributed by the museum. This is very important because it may indicate if the stela has been published in one of the volumes of the Catalogue Général du Musée. And thanks to my dear colleague Abdelrahman Saadeddin Suleiman and his application, we can immediately tell whether the stela has been published or not. So, just a quick. There is 10 volumes of the catalogue, and 4,000 stela have been published under the leadership of Gaston Guest. So, then we note down information about the state of the stela, whether it is complete or not, and the condition of the inscription. Here, everything is good. We note its shape and the material, here square and marble. Next, we note down information about the frame decoration. This is a decorated one with geometric, vegetal, and stylized tabula ansata. And there is additional decoration in the upper part of the stela, which is outside the frame. Regarding the materiality of the stela, we also note other elements, but I will come back to this topic later. So next we look at the information regarding the inscription, if it's engraved or in relief, in yellow frame, and the paleography and the script styles. We identify the different general types in the red frame, as it is angular, cursive, or transitional. And if it is in Kufic, we note the different substyles we can see in the purple frame. Noting first the dominant style. Here for Q1, for example, it is in Hocket Kufic first, and there is also a bit of foliated, so we note the two styles. We have decided to be as precise as possible, even if it means stepping outside the usual boundaries of paleography. So, as not to overlook any detail that might help us identify a craftsman or a workshop. You will notice that we have tried to standardize the responses as much as possible, as the database was compiled using the information from this form. As for the text, apart from the name and date, we do not conduct on-site reading in order to optimize our working time, since the majority of the stela have already been published. I'm not currently proposing a translation of the Arabic inscription. I apologize for those who do not read Arabic, but this is a deliberate choice. As such, a translation must be carefully considered and systematic. In other words, we will need to select standard phrases and compile a sort of glossary of phrases with specific translation, so that over the years we maintain consistency in our translation. Well, some people will no doubt wonder what new insight we can offer, since the stelae have been published for nearly a century now, in the case of the earliest one, and have already been thoroughly studied. I will highlight three main points: research into geographical origin of the stela, their materiality, and the numerous research opportunities that will be offered by a specific database, and of course, new publications. So the reason I have chosen to show you Q1 is also because from the Catalogue du Musée, and thanks to the museum register, we know with precision that it comes from the Ayn Shams necropolis, which incidentally, I believe, should be distinguished from that of Fustat, since the register make the distinction. So in my point of view, this should be taken in account when studying the necropolis of Cairo. Indeed, one of the main objectives of this project is to relocate the stela. The general catalogue lists several places of origin as Aswan, Ain Sira, Alexandria, but too many are marked as found in the museum storeroom, thoroughly prohibiting any interpretation. However, a cross-reference analysis of source has already enabled us to relocate certain stela and even series of stela from this corpus with greater precision. Of course, some stela's location will remain enigmatic, and only an in-depth study of the form and of physical characteristics of well-located stela will enable us to make comparison and then propose a provenance. This will be a long but necessary process involving extensive research at doctoral and postdoctoral level and the expertise of specialists. But this study will lead us to reconsider our preconception of this collection. So, indeed, if I show you these two stela, for now, some of you will immediately tell this is Aswan and Cairo, and you're right, but not in the way you think. These two stela are identified not only in the catalogue, but also in the museum register. So, some might say they are just isolated cases, but why? There is not much research on the subject, but it's now generally accepted that those made of marble with this type of frame come from the region of Cairo, whereas those made of sandstone with this relief frame come from the region of Aswan. I think this comes partly from the fact that most of the stela clearly identified as coming from Aswan are made of sandstone. And there is a very well-known sandstone quarry in the region, Jebel Stela, as well as numerous temples that may have served as quarries. Nevertheless, we have a huge collection, series of stela with consecutive numbers, comprising both marble and sandstone stela, with the same characteristic originating from Upper Egypt, or in Arabic, Al-Wajh al-Qibl. And occasionally Cairo is included in this area, but most of the time it refers to everything south of Cairo, or even south of Fayoum, depending on the map. So we must continue to explore this further. I will give you a sneak peek. My preliminary research points to the very south of Egypt, but I will not enter here in this subject. It needs further investigation. And after all, why shouldn't there be marble in Upper Egypt or in Aswan? Marble stelae have been found in sites much further south, at Der, for example, in Nubia. And thus, as we know, marble is transported often from as far away as Turkey. And if the stelae were able to make the journey to Cairo, they could easily have made the journey to the region of Aswan too, right? But perhaps they were even prepared further in advance. Or perhaps the workshop were in Cairo, or maybe why not in Alexandria. So all this needs to be explored further through technical studies. So just before to enter our point 2, there may also be another angle to consider, that of spolia. Maybe if we can find similar decoration, such as this marble church decor, or pieces together the puzzle of this ancient relief, perhaps we will be able to identify new locations. Concerning our documentation, personally, I believe that all our stelae, whether made of marble or sandstone, are spolia. But in our records, we only note this when it is explicit, as in the present case. So, the materiality of the stela, for its part, become an important factor. Geologists' expertise regarding known collection can help us determine the specific origin of the stone. Here we can clearly see that we are dealing with 3 different types of marble. Also, regarding the tool traces on the stela, we recently had the opportunity to run a workshop with several stonemasons, which was very informative and led me to 2 conclusions. Tool marks are a valuable source of information, but specialists are needed to interpret them. This is therefore not something that can be done on a large scale. Here too, we will need to study selection from well-known collection to compare with others. And I will say that this study of tool marks can be divided into 2 main categories. Tool marks used in the inscriptions and tool marks indicating surface markers. So thus, thanks to Najim Jacko, with one of the stonemasons present during the workshop, I can present a small sample of further types of engraving. So we can see that we have 3 different kinds. The V-cut engraving, the flat chisels, and picked one that decline into pin-pricked and chisel-pricked. A study of the type of engraving may also help us to discern an influence of a workshop or maybe a worker. It also allows us to categorize the stela from a qualitative perspective. Indeed, for example, the V-cut engraving 1 and 2 are not of the same quality. The first one reflects a mastery of techniques that would probably have been costly and may give us some indication of the social status of the deceased or his family. As for the tool marks on the surface marker, there are also various types. And without going into too much detail, which will require also a specialist eye, I choose to group them into broad categories: fine, visible tool marks, and coarse. This study of tool marks as clue of the surface marker open up the topic that is directly relevant for the conference from the ground up. Since these tool marks allow us to form hypotheses about the use of the stela on its base. To my knowledge, no stele from the collection have been recorded in its archaeological context. So here is a great deal of work involved with interpretation, and as we are working our way from up to the ground, if I may. For example, regarding the Aswan cemetery, we have very little information. The oldest view showing stela in context dates from 1825 by Edward Lane, and tell us a very little other than that there were stelae buried in the cemetery. In the 2021 publication of Phyllis Schweizer, that provide a little more with two stelae found in context. And field observation suggests that the stelae were set into the wall, which would have been conducive to relatively smooth marble stelae. So, for example, in our record, we note if there are significant marks, if the surface is fine, smooth, or coarse, or if there are other fixing elements, such as holes. We combine this observation with a study of the reserves of the stela and their thicknesses. Here is an example of an article co-authored with Simon Dorso, partly on this question of materiality, including an estimate of the size of the reserve, so more or less null, less than 1/4, or more than 1/4 of the stella's age. So we then cross-reference this information, to formulate hypotheses, such as whether it was buried, as in Alexandria. Thank you, Robert, for the picture. If it's built into masonry, as in Cairo and as we've seen yesterday, and maybe in Aswan with this example of Makran. Or it could also be an orthostat, since the thickness of a stela sometimes allows it to stand on its own. But we have no example in Egypt for now. So this enables an initial classification. The data from this phase of the project will therefore be published in two stages: an EITD database and a series of volumes published by the Ifao. The Egyptian Islamic Tombstone database is dedicated to Arabic stela in Egypt. It is an interoperable database that will enable cross-reference search based on the documentation form. It was designed by Nicolas Souchon, who opted for XML technology, especially TEI and Epidoc, to encode the data due to the textual and epigraphic nature of the project data. Within the project, this encoding is carried out using an application based on the Patrimonium project. It initially focuses on the stela preserved at Qurqumas, most of which have been published, and will ultimately bring together all the Arabic funerary stela from Egypt, dating from the medieval period to the Ottoman era. This is why the project is also looking toward other collections, such as those in foreign and Egyptian museums, where there are estimated to be over 700 stela, and the collection in Cairo's excavation store, which will need to be quantified, and also the on-site stela, as was seen yesterday. And also another project is currently under consideration to extend the study to the Aswan collection, because the aim is to strive for exhaustiveness, at least of the known collection, and even if we know that a lot of stela are embedded in architecture, like in Aswan, for example. Finally, with regard to the publication of work, an introductory volume of the project is currently being written. Subsequently, a series of volumes will aim to publish the previously unpublished stela. However, for the corpus as a whole, we believe it is necessary to consider its publication by adopting a new approach. In other words, a chronological publication along the line of the Catalogue Général du Musée will be redundant, even if some readings have been corrected. And it therefore seems more appropriate to propose publication organized by geographical corpus, where the provenance is certain. This publication will form part of a series in text Arabe et Études islamiques from the collection of the Ifao. So to conclude, therefore, the various elements presented here pave the way for the study of geographical corpus, which will enable us to move from macro history to micro history. The development of limited and distinctive corpus will thus allow for more refined research, particularly in the field of paleography and history. The study of this unique documentation will therefore provide a better understanding of regional Egyptian funerary practices. It will be a long process, which I would like to remind you will not be possible without a great team and a strong collaboration. I would like to thank the team and especially our carriers of Stela, because who I believe are the most dedicated members of this project. And I would like to thank you for your attention. وتحياتنا من الجبانة.
Thank you very much for coming and for being there. And as you know, we have option, so you are all welcome in the garden. Merci beaucoup.